today we are welcome to the very first conversation about our health and wellness, sponsored by the Ascension Fitness Training Center. And so we'll start with the people who are involved today. I'd like you, I think one of the things that we've been hearing about over the last few months is what happens when we have a compromised immune system. And so what we'd like to talk about today is really what it's like when you have a healthy immune system. So if many of you members and Facebook followers already know William Israelson and Michelle Wunderlich, and they manage and lead the trainings at the Ascension Gym in Ham Lake, which has now quite a bit of excitement with everyone back in the gym, and they really specialize in personalized, individualized trainings for each person. Part of that training includes a focus on mental health, nutrition, stress relief, and how the environment, toxic environment. So it's only natural that they really want to think about the overall holistic health of the person. And so they have invited Janice Bunce, who is a pro-health advocate, to provide an overview of the 10 foundational factors of a healthy system, healthy immune system, and a well-balanced life. So today we're going to talk about some of those kinds of things. So let's start with Bill. What took you in this direction? As we know, there are a lot of fitness centers out there. What took you in this direction?
Well, we need better health. And I think with the current situation that's going on out there right now, it's waking us up, hopefully, to realize that it's up to us to take better care of ourselves. And the immune system, having immunity to everything, right, with the best that you can. I think it's very important. And it's also preparing for something bad that might come. Preparation is key, and we have to realize that. We just can't wait and hope something doesn't happen. And then when it does happen, we run around with our heads cut off and stuff. So this is all about being prepared, basically.
Michelle, what are some of the questions that might have come up from your members that led you in this direction of bringing all the elements of health into fitness?
Well, I think what really started me thinking about how diet and different things are all integrated into your physical well-being, not just about weight or anything, but in everything working properly in your body, is because I'm a runner and I'm a long distance runner. I do ultra marathons, and a lot of my friends are runners, and so runners are just always plagued with running injuries. I have runner's knee, or I have IT band, or I have this, and it's all basically inflammation of one kind or another. And realizing that it's not just stretching, strength training, proper form and running, that a lot of it has to do with other things you're putting in your body, or your probiotics, all these different things that work together to reduce inflammation, so that that's not your body's natural response to everything active you do. And I think I see that a lot in the gym too, that people come in and they all have, even young people have these aches and pains, and this hurts and that hurts, and realizing how all of that works together with your total health picture, that you really need to be thinking about. Even if you're not overweight, that doesn't mean you can just eat processed food and sugar, because it's going to show up in other ways.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Janice Bunce, what led you to this trajectory of mindset that is thinking about this proactive health approach?
Well, it started a number of years ago when I was at my annual physical, and the test revealed that I had antibodies attacking my thyroid. And I said to my doctor, well, how do we stop it? And she said, well, you don't. You just let your thyroid be killed, and then you take a medication to regulate what the thyroid does the rest of your life. And I thought, whoa, I don't want to do that. So I thought, well, I believe somebody out there will help me save my thyroid. And I did find a holistic MD that right away said, you have an autoimmune condition. You need to get off gluten and clean up what you're eating. Your body isn't detoxing very easily, so we need to give your body what it needs and to help your body heal. And so I partnered with my doctor, did everything he said, and he figured out what my body needed. And in that process, within less than a year, we had stopped the antibodies from attacking my thyroid. So at that point, I realized I didn't know enough, and I wanted to not wait till something like that happened ever again. I wanted to be proactive about my health and learn from this situation. And so that's what got me started on this direction.
And I would like to mention at this point that if anyone has had a similar kind of thing, if you're watching today, please feel free to put your questions or your comments on our Facebook page, and we will address those in the next few minutes. So, Bill, you were going to mention something?
Yes, what was I gonna mention? We're just making sure this is all brand new to us. This is our first time, all right? So you can see people are popping up over there. So
Yes.
just give us a little bit of a break.
Yes.
And so if you're going about better health and better wellness, it's better to do with small steps. Now, you can come to me, I can give you 1,000 exercises, Michelle can give you 1,000 exercises, Jen can give you 1,000 different things to do too, but it's like, what do you do with the first step? And the first step is just pick one or two things and start creating good habits with what you do. And realize that it's gonna take time, it doesn't happen overnight, and the more you pile on your plate, the plate becomes too heavy and you just put the plate down and you forget about it, and just go back to that unhealthy living. I do have to sit there and say that one of the reasons I started this whole thing, my whole lifestyle, is because I'm very concerned about the people around me. And you only get one shot at this life. So I take that very seriously. And I think we have a tendency to think that we might be in a video game where we can restart our life, say, get a second chance, get a second chance, get a second chance. And and I'm not a big fan of the health industry, and I think it's our personal responsibility to take care of ourselves.
So how did you tackle that, what Bill is talking about?
Well, I think Bill is indicating you need to take the responsibility and you need to build your health team. And it's really a team effort. These guys are part of your team if you're in their fitness program. And I love the word fitness because it's not about losing weight, it's not about just one part. It's about totally having a fit body that's working correctly. And when it's really working correctly, it's an amazing thing because it can fight off things, it can heal itself, and it's just amazing. So I think what we need to do is find the medical professionals that will take the time to look at the whole. I mean, if you are in a car accident, heck, go to the guy that can fix you. But if you have an autoimmune condition, you maybe need someone that's more investigative, that's looking at your whole system to figure out what's going on. And Michelle is bringing up things like aches and pains, and they're all little messages to you not to do a Band-Aid fix. I mean, if your car, the light was blinking in your car to tell you something was wrong with your car, would you just put a Band-Aid over the light so that you wouldn't see the light blinking? Or would you figure out what's going on with your car? We kind of do the same thing. And we're not really addressing I mean, maybe you have a migraine. Well, that might have to do with your gut. It might not have to do with your brain. So we need to go to a doctor that can really investigate. And if you ask the questions, well, for example, if you go to the doctor and say, "Doctor, I want to know what's going on. How's my gut doing today? Or how's my immune system?" If he has no interest in helping you with that, then find a different team member for that particular issue, because you need to know what's going on. Your internal terrain is what makes the difference between having illness or not having illness.
And how did you do your research to find some of these directions for yourself? Sounds like you were navigating against the wind a little bit.
Well, it was challenging, and when I started doing this, I mean, a lot of people thought I was nuts. And the other thing I wanted to say, which is kind of connected to what Bill was saying too, is each person has to figure out what their body needs. What I'm doing may not be what you need to do, but we all need to figure out what's best for nourishing our body. So anyway, I felt like I need to go back to school. I need to do research on this and figure out what are the main things that will help us have real health. And I kept coming back to the same things over and over. Some of them are very familiar to you, like eating well, exercise, not having stress, getting rid of the toxins in your environment. And then there's other things that we don't really hear too much about, like our pH balance of the fluids in our system, having a really strong gut microbiome, really healthy, which is where our immune system lives. So if that's healthy, our immune system is going to be more healthy. So, and then there's the hormonal situation with my thyroid. It's hormones that run every single muscle and organ in the body. So we need to know what those messages that our hormones are sending around the body are doing, and need to support that. The other thing is supplementation. Sometimes we can't get everything we need from food, which is our first source of good nutrition, because everything in our body, every cell in our body is nourished by what we put in our mouth. So we don't age by the number of years we're alive, it's by the health of our cells. And so it's really important for us to think about what we put in our mouth, because that's what nourishes every cell. And then the last thing is, who do we go to get the care we need when we're looking for help? I mean, we really need the right. Did I
So
forget?
those are your 10 factors.
Yeah, did I forget one? The supplementation, I
No, you
mentioned
mentioned,
it. Okay.
yeah, so the 10, it sounds like
Right.
a lot, and as Bill said, maybe a place to start
Right.
for now is
Right.
the immune system.
And what would you consider toxins? When you get rid of the toxins, what do you consider toxins?
Well, if you want to look at the food that goes in your mouth,
Okay.
I would say, there's the dirty dozen or whatever, vegetables. Well, they're sprayed, and those toxins get into our system, and then we ingest that, and then our liver has to get rid of it or house it. That's one. Things that come into the air that we breathe, the water. There's pollution in the air. Even the products that you put on your skin, everything. I read some information just the other day where they said, if you wouldn't eat it, don't put it on your skin. Now that gives you pause, because whatever you put on your skin will go directly into your bloodstream. So if it has toxic chemicals, your body is working really hard to get rid of that. So, I mean, does that answer kind of what?
Yeah, I think there's I think what we consume and everything, and even our environment
Weird.
sometimes has so much
Mhm.
toxins, and we don't even know it,
Right.
you know, and, I have a tendency to touch on the toxins that are next to us
Right.
and influence us a little
Mhm.
bit more. So, you know, people,
Right.
situations,
You're stressed.
Negative thinking.
negative
Yes,
thinking.
Absolutely.
And, you know, so one of my suggestions is usually go to Spotify, create a playlist of songs that just
Mhm.
inspire and move you.
Ah,
So, yeah, I think a good step would be start
Mhm.
filtering out the
Mhm.
toxins.
Mhm.
right,
Because the other stuff, I think the other stuff kind of build up a little bit too,
Mhm.
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
well, and a lot of times those toxic thoughts
Mhm.
just kind of
Oh,
keep
Mhm.
negativity, and they're gonna take down your immune system,
Mhm.
so you,
Mhm.
or relational, or maybe you can't stand your job. You know, those kinds of stressful considerations make a huge difference.
Mhm.
You're right,
Mhm.
detoxifying your body.
And another thing, the playlist is a great way to keep your mind positive, but also having like either podcasts or motivational, inspirational books that you listen to, Audible, whatever, so that when you're driving around, you're listening to these other people who have overcome adversity, and yep, everybody's life is really hard, but having the best attitude you can instead of complaining or feeling sorry for yourself, because we're all gonna have struggles, and the biggest thing you could do is have a positive outlook and say, you know what, it's gonna be okay, I'm gonna do the best I can with whatever I'm given, and that positive outlook will get you through everything else.
Well,
Janice, how would you introduce the idea of a healthy immune system to someone who's just learning about it today?
well, you know, at some point, I really encourage people to get to know your immune system because it's very powerful. And it can be powerful in a good way or powerful in a negative way. So if you are giving your body what it needs to have a healthy immune system, then it could look, well, let me give you a couple examples. One is, we haven't talked too much about pH in our system, but pH balance. But if you most people realize that in a spa or in a swimming pool you have to have correct pH balance, otherwise you don't want to swim in it. Okay, plants need that same thing in their soil in order to grow. And our bodies, our blood stays at a certain pH and has to be at that particular place, otherwise we're not going to be alive. So our blood is automatic and it takes from the rest of our body to stay at that particular place. The rest of our clear fluids are a little more flexible, but we want to be slightly alkaline because our most positive condition for healing is when our body, our pH is slightly alkaline. That's when it's the most powerful to create healing. So if we're eating a diet of the typical Western diet, which is very acidic, if we're eating lots of sugar, very acidic, so we need to really address that, because if we want to have a healthy immune system, we have to really eat whole, real food and stay away from processed and kind of things that aren't going to nourish our body. The other visual that might be helpful is, as I mentioned earlier, your immune system, a major portion of it lives in the gut. So think of your gut as a neighborhood. And there's more bacteria in our body than cells in our body. And so the bacteria, we want it to be a very healthy microbiome. And we want our positive or our healthier bacteria to not be overpowered by the bad bacteria. The good bacteria needs to be the main, and if your neighborhood, your gut neighborhood looks like a really nice neighborhood with trees and flowers and nicely cared for homes, and people are happy and walking their dog, and you see blue skies and music is wafting through the air and smells. That's the kind of gut that you want to have, because the tissues are healthy and everyone's doing their job to. Now, if you look at it, an autoimmune kind of gut system, that would look more like a dark, kind of polluted. Now the bad bacteria is taken over. It's like rioting in gangs, overtaking the whole place. And when you think about it, it's an immune system. They're our defense team. So for the good neighborhood, they're standing ready and waiting, and they're knowledgeable and informed and ready to do what they need to do. But in the other overrun neighborhood, it's so chaotic. The poor defense system doesn't know what to do, and so they start attacking their own tissues. And that's where I was saying that we really do need to care about having a healthy immune system, because our immune system can be just as strong at destroying our system if it is on that other trajectory. So does that answer
Yes,
kind
yes.
of what?
And Michelle, have you seen some of your members that have kind of defied the aging kind of concept by doing those kinds of things?
What I see, what interests me is, especially as people get into their 60s and 70s, is where I really see who has been taking care of their body, who has been eating whole foods, who has been exercising, not smoking, whatever, and who has been spending too much time in a desk chair or on the couch and eating microwave foods, processed things. And you see, that's where you say, when you're 30, you can get you don't realize the damage. It's more hidden. You are doing just as much damage. You just don't see it as much because your body is strong and it's fighting against what you're doing to it. But then it will catch up to you. And you see someone who's 60 or 70 and they have a hard time getting up the stairs, and they have a hard time getting in and out of the car, and all these things. And then you see a 75-year-old go out and run an ultra marathon and finish ahead of the 30-year-olds. And they're not in pain, and they're strong, and they're 75 years old. And it really shows that you don't have to age, like you were saying. You don't have to age the way people think, well, I'm just getting old, I'm too old for that. I used to be able to do that when I was younger. That isn't how it has to be. If you take care of your body, but it is much harder when you come in and you're 65 and say, well, I feel like crap, my body's falling apart, help me fix it. Now, you can still back that up, so it's absolutely worth doing. But it is going to be hard to catch up to where the person is who's your same age, who's been doing it all along. And so that's why, instead of saying, well, when the kids get older and when life settles down and when my job's not so chaotic, then I'm gonna stop eating fast food and I'm gonna start working out. By then, so much damage is done. It is really hard to undo it. And so you really need to, even if you feel okay right now, and it's not that bad, I got a few pounds or whatever, or, I'm not even overweight. Yes, I eat, Taco Bell 3 times a week, but I feel okay. You need to get a handle on that while you're in your 30s and 40s, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, really ideally start when you're in your teens and 20s, but for sure you cannot wait till the kids are grown and your job settles down.
Right.
You need to do it now.
Bill, without naming names, do you have an example of a member that has done what Michelle is talking about?
I have.
You have.
I have. I did. I was, like I said, 100 pounds overweight, slamming the Mountain Dews all day long, eating crap food all day long. I did nothing for my health whatsoever, and I always thought that taking care of the kids and taking care of my wife and my mother and my mother-in-law and my father-in-law and the grandmas, that came before me. And eventually I came to epiphany where I can't do any of that if there is no me.
Yeah.
And so, I can tell you, I'm probably not as clean as Jan is. However, you know, I'm 54 right now. I know I look 23. Thanks. I've supposedly seen the lights, and it is the muscles. You know, the walking around, and you don't feel like, you know, my dad when he was 54, I have no resemblance to my father when he was 54. You know, I can do Tough Mudders back to back, and I can do 20 miles. My dad, no, he'd just come home and sit on the step, water the grass, and smoke cigarettes. So, yes, and there are people in our gym that have gone the separate ways. We have a family now that they have to deal with their young girl having celiacs. And so, but the mother and father for the last year and a half, 2 years have taken control of their health. They have done a fantastic job of changing their direction. So, you know, this is,
It's a family thing. Yeah.
it should be a family,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And like Michelle said, fast food, I'm sorry, it's junk. You know, just all you need to do, the biggest thing, if you take away any of this, is just start planning and scheduling your means. Take one thing Jan said, take one thing I said, take one thing Michelle said, take one thing Sharon said, and just start doing it. Do the small steps. You know, and I see so many people, it happens, January 1st every year, where they buy about 30 pounds worth of chicken, about 30 pounds worth of broccoli, and I'm going to work out 7 to 8 days a week. And they're done in 2 weeks.
Right, yeah.
You know, so let's do one step today.
Mhm.
If you can go to bed tonight and say that you're 1% better than you were yesterday, you're making great strides. So,
Good. Well, at this point, do we have any questions that
can you
may
pull
be
it up on
coming
your
in
phone?
from the group?
Jared's gonna text me if there are any questions. So I don't think we have had any questions come in. So everyone's just absorbing all the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I know Jan went through a lot of information. She has way more than she even shared today. She has the 10 different areas she likes to focus on, and so we will post. She has like a very nice PowerPoint presentation. I will post that on our Facebook after this presentation is over. So if you really want more information on what the 10 areas were again, you're like, crap, I couldn't find my pen, or some more detail on each of the areas, we'll post that. You guys can read that as well afterwards.
Yes, and I think we would like to talk for a minute about the new program you've started, Take the Pledge, which is available to anyone. They don't have to be a member of the Ascension Fitness Center. And it's a way to just decide you're going to do something a little bit differently. And so if you go on their website, you'll be able to see more information about that and just make a commitment to yourself. I think as has been mentioned here, there's a very big important part of being in a community. But the first step is for ourselves. And in each case, you'll see examples of how that has happened. Also, if now the gym is reopened, they also have virtual training. One of their members is far away in Florida, so there are ways to tie the fitness to whatever your schedule is. So there, at any time, you can go to their Facebook for a conversation. Their phone number's on their website, and they are right in Ham Lake, not too far away from many of us. And I think they will be having more conversations related to the immune system and some of the other aspects. I think as we are closing, I think one of the things that you talked about was the testing portion. If you could just give us a little bit of an
Right.
update on that.
One of the things that occurred to me in my proactive approach is that if we could know what's going on in our system, and then instead of just going in one time a year, I mean, I'm doing this, I'm not saying everybody should do this, but it would be nice to, every 6 months, go in like you do the dentist. You don't go in because you have cavities, you go in because you don't want to have cavities. And so the point is to go in, sit down with your doctor, get all the tests, know what's going on in your system, what your deficiencies are, and then make a plan with that particular team member, that medical team member, about what you can do in the next 6 months, which would include, you know, your fitness and your stress reduction and everything. And then come back in 6 months. If things are going great, just keep doing the same thing, otherwise tweak it. If we did that, we'd never get to the place where we have autoimmune illness or heart disease or, you know, even, I mean, this whole scare tactic around Alzheimer's. Everybody is wondering about that. Well, we can alleviate the fear around that, and even the fear that's going on now. Living in fear does not need to be our
No.
way of living.
No.
And so,
And that,
you
I
know,
think that
I think-
helps. So that really kind of caps the idea of being proactive
Right.
and what being a proactive advocate means. So with that, I think we'll close for today. If there are questions that come up, please
Yeah.
feel free to send them along, and
And
maybe
even when
that'll
we're-
be the next
yeah,
topic.
Even when we're not live, you can still post comments on this video if you happen to see it later. We will watch for your comments and we'll try to answer any questions you have.
Thank you.
Take the pledge.
take
Thank
the
you.
pledge.
Take the pledge.
I agree.
You know, it's
Nope.